Welcome back into the Dynasty Nerds podcast, Risers and Fallers show. No Rich Dotson today. He's got some flooring things to deal with in his business, but we're still here. So I'm here, your host, Garrett Price, and I'm still here with my good friend, Jagger May. Jagger, how you doing, man?
It was a fun NFL Sunday. I'm good. I'm happy that football's good to me on Sunday because it's bad to me on Saturday. So
Yeah. Sundays for me, like it is weird because I don't necessarily want the Browns to win, but if they do, you're not like furious. You're like, oh, my team won. But at this point, like I want them to get a better draft pick. But I could see, especially you're an Arkansas Razorbacks fan, there is no better draft pick if you lose. There's no incentive to lose.
in fact, we lose recruits for losing most of the time.
That's fair. That's fair. So double whammy there. So makes it even a little more tricky. But we have our risers and fallers today, and we've got some interesting names. Some interesting names to go over today. Let's start off with the injuries though, real quickly. Michael Penix, his knee injury. It's likely a re-injury of the bone bruise from earlier in the year. So I don't necessarily expect it to be. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing, but with the way he was playing, Jagger, I guess in Superflex you were probably having to play him at times, but in some ways this is almost a relief that you don't have to play him anymore.
Yeah, because you're not, oh, well, this is a good matchup. You're not even having to make those decisions right now. And to me, it's like the way he was playing, it makes me wonder how significant was the bruise that it affected his play. Sure. You know, where like that, and that's me giving him the benefit of the doubt. I never was a fan to begin with, so this is just me giving him a little bit of love there. But yeah, he did us a favor a little bit, but like I don't, you never want to wish injury on someone, but like this is something that is good because okay, sit down, get better, and then we'll reevaluate, and I don't have to make a decision about it since it's not serious, you know.
Absolutely. We're hoping it's not serious as well for Drake London. This one kind of snuck up on us. I didn't notice it in the game, but apparently he left during overtime and didn't come back in the game, which obviously there wasn't much time to come back in that game. Hopefully everything's okay with him and it's no real issues, but kind of have to wait and see what's going on with Drake London. Josh Jacobs, I was worried about this one. I thought this was going to be a significant knee injury based on like, oh, he's out and he's not coming back. But it sounds like he avoided anything super serious. So kind of have to wait and see on Josh Jacobs. Rodgers, another one, left wrist injury. So it's not his throwing arm, not his throwing wrist, but he did leave the game, did not return. Jaylen Warren in the same game didn't return after his ankle injury, which Kenny Gainwell had a nice game right after that. And then last but not least, Calvin Ridley, broken fibula. Ugh,
rough.
It's
rough.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Poor guy. Jagger, are we calling it a career on Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like I think he's done. Like, and I don't mean like maybe done as far as playing in the NFL. Like I'm sure he might try to come back or whatever, but for me, he's just not rosterable right now in any format. So
yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of the injuries. I did also see Jordan Love left for a short period of time, but came back in, so it doesn't seem like that's a huge deal. But we'll be talking about him a little bit more in a bit here, so we'll get to that. But let's start with our risers of the week. Let's be optimistic and positive to start the show. And two guys that made the list but didn't quite make the cut of our top three. AJ Barner was 5. Sean Tucker was 4. And I know that there's going to be people listening, Jagger, that are like, dude had 3 touchdowns. How is he not a riser? And you and I were talking about it a little bit before the show. Obviously, he's on the list for a reason. Had a great game. Looked awesome in the game. I mean, really did. But we don't expect this to be something that stays long-term. We know Bucky's going to be coming back. Rachaad White's still there and annoying, even though I have always kind of believed Sean Tucker was a better running back than Rachaad White. Bucky's significantly better than them both probably. So it's probably just not going to make a big difference long-term in my rankings. Is it for you?
No, it's like, and I'm the one who told you, I was like, Sean Tucker does this, you know, like he is a handcuff you can count on. I will say if Rachaad White or Bucky Irving go down, he needs to be rostered, and then you might be able to spot start him. And especially now, you can almost make this a double whammy because Rashad White is a little bit of a faller because he was just dominating the touches. And now we've seen them shift back to someone else handling a bulk of the runs while he's just the passing down back, which still has value. He's just not going to be a bell cow just because Bucky Irving goes down.
Yeah, and we even saw Sean Tucker catch a touchdown pass. It was a nice play there. So definitely great game. You feel optimistic about him overall, but probably not rising too much in our actual rankings. So let's get to guys that actually are moving in our rankings. Our number 3 guy in the week, Christian Watson. It was interesting in startups this year, and I didn't get a ton of shares. I only got 1 or 2, but I kind of noticed him, and I was like, is this somebody that's being left for dead, or is it somebody that should be left there? And it looks like he was somebody that maybe was a value when you were picking him up in the 16th, 17th, 18th round of your startups in the offseason or things like that, because he's come back, and partly it could be due to some injuries on the team and whatnot, but overall, he's come back and been fairly efficient. He had a 20-point game this past week with 2 touchdowns, and he's had at least 4 targets and 45 yards in every game, which on some teams that doesn't seem like a lot, but on Green Bay, with how much they distribute the ball and stuff, it's shown good things for him. And for him, he doesn't need the 9-10 targets that other guys do because most of his are big plays downfield. So with Christian Watson, is he a player that's sneaking back into, maybe I could actually play him in my flex or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, he always was because, I think this guy's got like a NFL record touchdown rate at this point. If he's on the field, he's scoring. And that's all that matters. My biggest issue with him is his health, so that's why I'm reluctant to hold or buy. We're about to talk about. It's not even just Christian Watson in a vacuum. Green Bay's got a lot of stink happening over there right now. So that. Let's put it this way. I think he's a soft hold and maybe a soft sell at the same time, depending if you get anything of value. But this is exactly why you drafted him, especially since Matthew Golden, he just hasn't done it to come in and take over as the guy. So it's a lot of, if anything, it's just muddier in Green Bay. Christian Watson has just created a bigger problem in Green Bay.
Yeah, he really has, because we also don't have Jaden Reed back. Tucker Kraft's out. Like it's just, I'm really curious to see what they do with some of the expiring contracts, because Romeo Dobbs, I think, is Wicks is. He
keeps dropping. Wicks is gone. Let's just say that. Like Wicks is either coming back for $4 or he's gone. Romeo Dobbs, his drops are egregious, man. Again,
they were real bad this week.
Yeah, you have every opportunity, man. Every opportunity to be the guy.
All right. Well, he's moving up our list a little bit. Definitely has the opportunity there, and we know the touchdowns are good. And Jagger, this was a guy that you were like, hey, we got to make sure we get him on the list. Chase Brown, a player that was a faller earlier on in the season, now kind of matriculating back up our boards a little bit, up our rankings a little bit, over 100 yards in 4 straight games. So and that's total yards, not necessarily rushing or receiving. But if you can count on a guy week in, week out to get you 100 total yards, and then you know that there's going to be 3 or 4 receptions on top of that, and maybe he gets in the end zone, all of a sudden, Chase Brown's a very valuable piece once again.
Yeah, and here's a real reason I'm going to bring him up. Is like I watched that game, a lot of that game. Chase Brown is just a far better rusher, and I have to give him credit. I did not like him as a prospect, but it's not just that, okay, Joe Flacco's in and it's making the entire offense a lot better than what Drake Browning gave us. Regardless, this was an ugly game, but he is himself a better rusher. He's a lot more patient behind his blockers. He had one particular cutback where he splits 2 defenders on an outside run. So, I mean, this guy's got talent and he's got juice. And I went from thinking, wow, this is a fire sale, to maybe if you held on or you bought low, we actually have something here. And I know that sounds nuts, but guys, I never was a Chase Brown guy, and actually watching his improvement, especially with all this adversity around this team, I have to give him his flowers.
No, absolutely. You have to do the best with what you're given. And beginning of the year, it was rough. I mean, it really was. But He's got a better opportunity, and I think that he's a guy that is a really good fit for a specific style of offense. He's not a player that can plug and play in any offense. And we saw earlier on in the year, teams were not worried about Browning throwing the ball. In fact, they were daring them to throw the ball because we're like, we'll rather just, stop the run and go ahead and throw it up, and we'll see what happens. Because yeah, you'll make a couple big plays, but you're going to turn the ball over a lot. And please do. But when you have Chase Brown, that is not the lead. He's the guy that is kind of, hey, he's gonna be a change of pace for this offense. Screens, draws, things like that. That's where he's living his best life. So I think the way that the offense is flowing now, and it's going to flow exactly the same, if not slightly more efficient, once we get Joe Burrow back into the starting quarterback role, which looks like it could be within just the next couple weeks. So if that's the case, Chase Brown goes from a guy that I did not want to touch with a 10-foot pole to a player that I'm like, okay, I'm confidently putting you in my flex spots now. And I'm probably comfortable even putting you back into the RB2 role because I know that there's going to at least be enough volume and the defense isn't going to be keying on you anymore. All right, let's go to our final guy that is a riser this week. And this is an interesting one, too. And I didn't mention him in the injury because I knew we were going to talk about him here. But Bhayshul Tuten, he left the game in the third quarter, I believe, with an injury. We'll have to see how all of that plays out. But, Jagger, I don't know how much of that game you were paying attention to, but Bhayshul Tuten was looking good. And he, if you look at the final stats, you're like, oh, him and ETN kind of split and it's a timeshare. It was not a timeshare. It was a Bhayshul Tuten game. Now, whether that was a conscious shift or it was a hot hand thing, I don't know. But it really was, hey, Bhayshul Tuten is getting a bulk of the touches and looking good with them, even showing a little more power than I thought he had on tape coming out of college. He was showing that. He was hitting the hole hard, trying to run through defenders, making some guys like this looked very, very legitimate. And so this kind of put Travis Etienne on notice. And then, of course, he gets hurt. Travis Etienne gets back and running and has 2 touchdowns and 70-some yards and ended up having a very good game for himself as well. But, Jagger, do you think this was more a sign of things to come or just a blip on the radar for Bhayshul Tuten?
I think it's signs of things to come for 2 reasons. One, we're seeing, even before the J.K. Dobbins injury, this is the second half of the season. A lot of these coaches are starting to utilize the rookie running backs a lot more often. The Patriots are doing it. Like now the Jaguars are figuring it out. And the second reason is because this is becoming a run-first offense. So both of these running backs are going to be the engine. So even if Travis Etienne still, it looks a little bit more like the 50-50 split the box score shows instead of what the first half of that game shows, I still think there's going to be a significant boost in Bhayshul Tuten's value, and he's going to be a flex play because, again, I think they've learned that especially when you don't have a healthy Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter's out for the season. You just have Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington out there. I don't even think Britton Strange is out there. It's an incredibly injured team. You can't go out and sling the ball 30, 40 times a game. So there's a lot to be had in this rushing attack. And we've seen that it supports 2 running backs with the Buccaneers, and they didn't have a great offensive line either. So this is, again, I think this is a trend that we can rely on in the future.
And referencing the Buccaneers is because Liam Cohen was a Buccaneers offensive coordinator last year, is now here in Jacksonville. So it definitely makes a lot of sense. Long term, do you think, because Travis Etienne is a free agent, do we see him re-signing? Do we see him being gone? Do we see it just being Tuten? Do we see them bring someone in or put LaQuint Allen as more of the receiving role? Or like, how do you envision, bust out the crystal balls here? How do you see this playing out?
Well, I think LaQuint Allen is a very good third down back who I had graded incredibly high. Only one higher than me.
I like
yeah. Yeah, Mel Kiper had him at like RB5. Say what that is. Like, again, he says some wild stuff sometimes, but I do think that his opinion's not nothing. So it's just the price on Travis Etienne. I think Etienne might be more valuable for another team than for the Jaguars. So when you have that draft capital that's been sunk into a really, really explosive athletic running back like Tuten, and we're already seeing that translate on tape, and Etienne's got to give the hometown discount or he's gone, because we've already seen this with multiple new coaching staffs where they want their guys that they drafted and put in spot. And if you already been relegated before an injury, what does that mean for your future of the team? It normally doesn't mean you have a very good one. So,
yeah, I tend to agree with that overall. I do think Etienne's going to be gone. I'm curious. I do think in a perfect world, Cohen would like to have two backs. If he has two backs he can trust. So we'll see if LaQuint Allen becomes another guy that he can trust, or if in free agency they get a guy for $4 million a year or something like that to be maybe a complement to Bhayshul Tuten, or they draft somebody. It's not the greatest draft in the world, so I don't see them prioritizing it. But there's 2 or 3 teams every year that were like, oh, they drafted a running back much higher than I expected. So it could definitely happen there. So curious to see how this plays out with Liam Cohen. If he's like, yeah, I'm good with Tuten being my guy, him being the bell cow, or if he's just wanting to pair up Bhayshul Tuten with somebody else. We know Tuten's not the biggest guy, but that hasn't stopped a lot of players in today's NFL from being more or less the team's bell cow. You look at Devon Achane, Chase Brown, who we were just talking about. These are not big physical running backs. The days of 225-pound running backs on every team are gone. There's still teams that'll utilize those guys, but there's plenty of teams that prioritize speed and elusiveness and home run ability more so than 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So we'll have to watch that one, but I think Bhayshul Tuten, our number one riser of the week, and he is going to be moving up my board because I think this is more legit than not. Hey, Nerd Herd, want to tell you about a show that we've been doing live on YouTube where we go over your teams and we talk about how to fix your broken roster. It's called Roster Rescue. We do it live every single Monday at noon Eastern time. And if you want to get a part of that, just head to our Dynasty Nerds homepage, go under the store tab, and you'll find Roster Rescue right there. Perfect opportunity to get your rosters in shape before the season or even in the middle of the season to make sure that you can win a championship. All right, let's go on and let's move on to our fallers of the week. Now, Jagger, our number 3 guy, we were kind of split on him. Now, obviously, I put the list together, so I felt like this guy was a faller. But my number 4 guy was your number 1 guy, which might be the first time that that's ever happened where one of our bottom guys was tied into the other person's top guy. But that was Jordan Love this week. Jordan Love, 17.7 points, which isn't a terrible game. But here's the problem. Over the course of this season, we've seen quarterbacks scoring tend to be higher than normal. We have 16 quarterbacks right now that have averaged over 18 points a game. Jordan Love is at 16.8. And he's been fairly erratic at times. The consistency that I would have thought out of what is this, year 6 now for him? I know he's only year 3 as a starter, but a year 6 as a professional now. I've been I don't know that I want to say a truther, but I've definitely been a supporter of Jordan Love. But this past few weeks has made me a little bit worried.
Yeah, and it's I was gonna push back. I was just like, well, what's his points per game over the last 6 weeks? Let's give it like a smaller sample size, and you can say that, well, his weapons aren't healthy or whatever, but there's just bad QB play. Multiple things can be true. He's played bad. He hasn't had all of his weapons. And on top of that, my actual biggest concern is Matt LaFleur, where he said his press conferences were just egregious. If it wasn't for Matt LaFleur already being a proven track record, decent play caller, I would consider it a fireable offense of saying, well, I don't talk to the kickers. It's like, well, buddy, your kicker has lost you 2 games, so I think you might need to care a little bit more. And just his entire demeanor, this seems like a team that isn't well coached right now. They're playing like they're not well coached. There's a lot of drops. Jordan Love seems erratic. The offense seems a mess. They're not lining up wrong yet, but I've lost a lot of confidence in this team top to bottom, and with that comes Jordan Love, who we kind of penciled him in as like, okay, he's going to be Brock Purdy, where he'll be a high-end QB2 in Superflex, low-end QB1 with some spike weeks because, there's so many weapons in that Matt LaFleur offense. I just don't know how long, A, we're going to have that Matt LaFleur offense, and B, where we can consider this offense having a lot of upside outside of Josh Jacobs if a lot of these things continue.
You asked what his points were more recently. So since the bye week, so week 6 on, so last 6 games for this quarterback, 15.5. So it drops even another 1.5 almost compared to what it was for total season. And during that stretch, only 1 game over 18 points. So not great for fantasy football purposes, especially with a guy with some athleticism. It's going to be able to get you some rushing yards and things like that. Although it's not his calling card. He's not Lamar. He's not Daniels. He's not Drake May even. But he is going to be able to run around a little bit. But it is worrisome, especially when you go out and you say, okay, we want to invest in this offense. We're going to finally get our guy a first-round quarterback. And you can go back to our nerd scores. I think Jared and I had him as wide receiver. I'd be curious to see what it was, but it was like 8, 7, something like that in the class, which is a fine player if you're taking him at the end of the second round at the end.
As a second round, that's great,
Yeah, but a first round guy, and this is the guy that's going to change everything in this wide receiver room compared to where it's been. He never profiled as that guy, and he hasn't played like that guy. So I get it. It's still rookie year. A lot can change, but for the most part, I'm unless my pre-draft eval and what I'm seeing on the field now is drastically different. If they're showing me they are who I thought they were, to quote Dennis Green, if they are who we thought they were, I'm not going to hold out hope much longer. Like I'm going to kind of put them in the same bucket. And we had another faller that we didn't end up putting in here, but I used the same quote when we were joking around about him before the show, in Quentin Johnston. Yeah, he had a 4-week spike. That was awesome to begin the year. But even though he had 20 points per game in those first few weeks, he's now down to 7 points per game. Like, they are who we thought they were. Yes, guys can have big weeks. And I think Golden will. He's that profile. He's a guy that is going to have some big games. But he's not showing us what we need to see. So going back to Jordan Love, I'm getting off track a little bit, but going back to Jordan Love, if we don't have elite weapons in this offense, and right now we don't have Tucker Kraft, which is the only guy that would even be bordering on an elite weapon. If we don't have any elite weapons, and he's not showing right now that he is a big enough difference maker to raise the level of play of those around him, that's going to be an issue. Because you need one of those two things. You either need somebody elite to help carry you, or you need to be the type of player that raises the level of everyone around him. Look at Drake May right now. He is a player that is raising the level of everyone around him. I was looking at points per route run last week. He has Drake May has 3 players in the top 20 right now on fantasy points per route run. It's ridiculous. It's Pop Douglas, Booty, and I don't even remember who the other one
Matt
was.
Collins, probably.
Maybe it was Matt Collins, yeah.
Or Stephon Diggs, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, certain quarterbacks will raise the level. Tom Brady raised the level of guys around him. Peyton Manning raised the level of guys around him. If you can't do that, then you need somebody elite to help raise you up, and he doesn't have that guy.
Yeah, I agree. And, like I always quote DJ and Bucky, eat trucks and trailers. And, there's something in the middle where these guys are running in like a motorcycle pack, and that's at best Jordan Love needs to be within a group. But realistically, it's like you said, if you give him someone like, let's say Justin Jefferson was a Packer, I think he would look significantly better. If he had Jared Goff's set of weapons, he would look significantly better, but he doesn't. And when you don't, if you don't, I don't think they have elite coaching at this point. It's worrisome because what if another coach comes in there and it can get worse? Because like I'm not one who says fire Matt LaFleur because was it Steve Sarkisian talked about this with college football? You know, a lot of people like fire coaches. Okay, well, who are you going to get next? You know, I don't know of the next guy that can come in there and fix this team, but the Packers are the type of organization that might fire Matt LaFleur because their expectations are higher. I'm worried long term, and Jordan Love is a soft sell for me. I'm not trying to get anything I can for him, but if I could pick up someone else, maybe get younger, pick up an injured quarterback, something like that, I'm gonna explore those deals.
All right, well, let's move on to our next faller here, and I could have put two different Vikings in here. I put the maybe more surprising one in here because I was trying to spare Rich's feelings a little bit, but then he didn't even join the show, so whatever. But Justin Jefferson, I have as a faller. Now, I think a lot of this fall is due to J.J. McCarthy. I don't think he's lost it. I don't think he's now a bad player, but he's playing like one currently. This week, 11.1 points. He is only averaging 14.3 points per game this season. For reference, his worst statistical season for fantasy football points, he was at 18.7. That's 4.4 points less than his worst season. And all of his other seasons are like in the 20s in points per game. So we had what was an elite asset that now in this offense with this quarterback is not even a wide receiver one anymore. He's not a player that I have supreme confidence in. If I'm a contender with Justin Jefferson as my wide receiver one, I'm worried. I better have a dang good wide receiver two to help make up for that, because right now the odds of him getting, usually we're seeing right around 15.5 to 16 points is kind of the cutoff typically for wide receiver ones. Like, I need somebody that's also getting around 14 points a game at my wide receiver two to even feel like I'm having a shot to compete with average teams. So right now, this is looking bad. So let me ask you this question first, Jagger. Is this more I'm worried about Justin Jefferson or I'm worried about J.J. McCarthy? Or is it, hey, they're in lockstep, they're married for a while, so it doesn't really matter which one you choose because I'm worried?
Season long, I'm worried. Long term, I am not.
Okay.
J.J. McCarthy has a rookie season. It's a rookie season, guys. Like, say what you want. He hasn't even played a lot of snaps. So, like, his level of play is actually a lot better than what you think, considering his experience level in comparison to other rookies. You know, like Anthony Richardson played half the time that J.J. McCarthy did, and that sounds like a lot, but it's not. Like, J.J. McCarthy really only has one significant season, and he only threw the ball like 10 times a game at best. So, if anything, I think this is a buy opportunity for both of these guys, and I'm going out to aggressively buy because Garrett, like you said, it's not that Justin Jefferson sucks, guys. It's not that he sucks. This offense isn't as good as we wanted it to be. J.J. McCarthy, again, had an injury setback this season, so that slowed down development even more. So hold and buy. That's where I'm at, where I am worried, but I am worried and I'm willing to count this season as a wash. Like, I made some content and I made like a tier list, and I dropped Justin Jefferson down from the S elite tier to the A tier, and people called me a clown. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm not saying Justin Jefferson sucks, but season long, his situation sucks, guys. Like, at some point, the name value gets us in trouble. And like with Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, guys like here, we're in trouble for this season. Now, what's the term? It's Wei Shi, where it means the same thing in Chinese. Where there's danger lies opportunity. They mean the same thing in Chinese. And now there's danger, but there's opportunity, and that's where you buy.
Yeah, and I think that's a good reminder. And I've said it before, just because a person is a riser on our list does not mean they're a buy. Oftentimes it could mean they're
It's a sell. Yeah, a lot of times it's a sell this late in the season.
Right, and vice versa. If guys are on our fallers list, that means generally you're probably going to hop on KTC tomorrow and see that their value is a little bit lower than it was earlier on in the week. But that doesn't make them a sell. If anything, typically they're a buy. Now, overall, I'm going to agree with you. I do want to go buy Justin Jefferson. I am buying the dip. I'm nervous if I'm a contender this year, but I'm totally good buying the dip because I do think better days are ahead one way or another. I am not buying JJ though. Are
you still worried? Are you still worried about JJ?
I'm very concerned about JJ. I think he's in a very similar spot right now as Michael Penix, where like I'm genuinely worried. Yes, maybe a little bit better of offensive mind at head coach, but these teams are from the same system. They both came from the Sean McVay tree, so they're from the same system. And people are talking about how much more time Michael Penix has had. He had like 3 games last year. It was not a lot. And JJ McCarthy had all season in his injured year to sit and absorb and learn. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but it's not reflecting that on the field right now. It looks like it is a true rookie season where he played college ball last year. And I get it, he's young, but a lot of his throws are erratic and all over the place. And maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe I'm spoiled and I see other
as
players.
A Browns fan?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. We are in the poorhouse. But I think maybe I'm spoiled seeing guys like Jackson Dart and Drake May come out right away.
Jaden Daniels just come out and needed them. Yeah.
But to be fair, we always want to put the Peyton Manning rookie season on guys and like, look what Peyton did his rookie year and who he became. And there are cases of that. But
those are outliers.
What's that?
Those are outliers most of the time.
Those are outliers, yes. More often than not, guys are going to tell us who they are in their first year to some extent. Maybe it's a little bit better than that or a little bit worse than that, but they're going to give you a general range of like, okay, I see what I'm working with here. Right now, I don't know what I'm working with JJ McCarthy. What is the thing? What is the calling card outside of he's a Kevin O'Connell quarterback to make me feel like he's going to be a big, significant part of my fantasy team in the future?
Yeah. The biggest thing, this is me keeping pre-draft, all the guys that we're worried about with, like, you make the Michael Penix. Michael Penix had ass mechanics to me. I think his mechanics sucked. Mm-hmm. At least I have that with JJ McCarthy.
Sure.
And that's my argument. That's it. That's all I got, is he has good mechanics and mobility. But I hear you. Like, I hear you on that. My only thing is that JJ McCarthy's going to have a longer leash.
He will. First round quarterbacks. Yep.
Yeah, and they've played themselves into a spot where they're not going to get another quarterback unless they're on Mac Jones alert. Because spoiler on here, I know this is a digression. We got one more guy, but I am buying Mac Jones heavily right now because he is going to be a Panther. Any of these guys, you're like, wow, their quarterback play sucks, and it's like, but they're not sucky enough to compete for whoever's going to be 101. I'm buying Mac Jones for that reason. So you make me want to put the Vikings on Mac Jones watch.
He's more likely on Cleveland Browns watch, unfortunately. But anyway, we'll see. Hopefully we're bad enough to get the number 1 pick and my boy Mendoza can come ruin his career with us. All right, so let's move on to our final faller of the week, and it's Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton, a guy that kind of had a career resurgence last year with Bo Nix, has more or less fallen by the wayside. 9.9 points this past week. He's had a less than 11 points in 5 of his last 6 games. And you look at that team overall and you're like, well, who's he going to throw the ball to? Troy Franklin is emerging. He's still been crazy inconsistent. So long term, is the wide receiver one on this team? Probably not. But what we saw out of Courtland Sutton last year is not what we are seeing out of Courtland Sutton this year. And it's not like this is a 23-year-old where we're like, give it time, give him a chance. Like, dude, is he 30? I think he's 30. Like,
Yeah.
this could be the end. I know he just got a new contract, but this could be the beginning of the end. And so for me, even though he's a faller for me, I'm borderline on like, I'm going to get what I can and get out.
Let's put it this way. I was there 2 years ago with Courtland Sutton, man. And I know that's weird to say because I love him. He's underrated. I feel like I talk out of both sides of my mouth when I talk about Courtland Sutton. It's like, yeah, he's underrated. Like his career was kind of wasted with the Broncos, but like, oh, hey, you want to buy him? I'm like, wait, calm down, buddy. Because that's basically where we're at this point where he is like the 2B. There's like this,
Yeah.
Troy Franklin is the number one, and then it's just like everything else. Yeah, everybody else.
Pat Bryant actually looked pretty good last night.
Yeah, Pat Bryant had 80 yards, 7 targets. Me and my brother and I were watching. Like, is Pat Bryant real? And I'm like, man, Sean Payton loves to do the ugliest draft picks just to prove everybody that he's right. So like this could be another situation, and I do think Courtland Sutton is get what you can, man. If you can get a second, feel happy for it. Don't buy it as a contender unless it's so cheap that that it works for you, because he's the type of landmine where you're like, man, he has upside and I need depth, and you're selling draft picks that can help keep you competitive in the future just so you can be slightly, maybe, probably not better this year. So.
And the hard part is when you make those trades, then you have to start him. And right now, I don't want to have to start him.
Mm-hmm. Because another guy, people were talking like Michael Pittman. I'm like, yeah, go buy Michael Pittman. They're like, well, he's blah, blah, blah. He's just Courtland Sutton. I'm like, nah, I think he's their number one. Courtland Sutton is not their number one. This is one of these things is not like the other.
100%. All right. Well, that wraps up our risers and fallers episode for today. Let us know in the comments below, who was your riser this week and who was your faller this week? The guy that we should be maybe a little concerned about, or maybe you're like, yeah, he fell, but he fell right into my lap because now I'm going to buy up all the shares of this player. Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to like and subscribe and comment and all of those great things. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.